Hi, welcome back to another episode of NARAL's The Morning After. I'm Gabe.
I'm Randi.
And I'm Jaime.
Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about this week is a brand new lawsuit by Planned Parenthood Southwest Ohio region and the Women's Med Center in Dayton. So these are our two Southwest Ohio abortion providers.
Yes.
They have filed a lawsuit against the Department of Health.
Mm-hmm.
And they're challenging both of the two previous Kasich budgets.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying the 60-day rule, the transfer agreements, all of these are unconstitutional and that they should remain open.
Yes.
So what do you think of how that's going to go?
Well, it's going to be interesting. I think that it probably has the best chance of any of the things that we've seen recently, because I have to give some of the anti-choice groups some credit. They are smart about how they do things in Ohio. They don't do the broad sweeping things that Louisiana and some other states have done. So, but these are two things that are targeted just for abortion clinics. So they are, the variance thing doesn't just say abortion clinics, but abortion clinics are the only types of ambulatory surgical facilities that have ever had to apply for a variance from the transfer agreement. So they're using that as a, yes, this is targeted just for us. And actually had some quotes from Peggy Lehner and the High Right to Life and everything talking about how this is going to close abortion clinics. So, they weren't even sneaky about that. And then the public hospital ban does actually just say abortion clinics can't have a transfer agreement with a public hospital. So they're separating out the abortion clinics from the rest of the ambulatory surgical facilities. And that's
so the transfer
illegal.
agreement rule was put in place and actually covers any sort of minor surgical facility. So if you get like root canal at your doctor's office, or
LASIK.
Yeah, if you get your podiatrist digs out your toe, that counts as minor surgery, and that's an ambulatory surgical facility. So all of these guys got lumped together with these rules, and now they're trying to whittle that down to just punish abortion providers.
Because they made the rules to punish abortion providers. Abortion clinics don't have to be ambulatory surgical facilities. They actually did research in Texas when they put their rules into place with House Bill 2. Some of their clinics were already at the level of an ambulatory surgical facility, and some of them were not. So they compared the safety record of procedures done in ambulatory surgical facilities to the ones that were not to that same standard. And there was no difference in the safety to the patients or the medical services provided. It's just an additional hoop. So if we can lump abortion providers into this group and put these regulations on there, we know it's going to be harder for an abortion clinic to get to that point because a hospital doesn't want to enter into a transfer agreement with them or doesn't want to be associated with them. So they can say but it's all about safety and everybody has to do it. But what we know
it's
is
all just
that
bureaucratic red tape.
Yeah.
Nothing improves patient safety.
No, none of it. So.
And so then the other aspect is the 60-day rule, which was just passed this year. That says that the Department of Health, if they haven't approved a license request within 60 days, is forced to reject it.
Well, the variance request, so just the variance request. So if they can't get a transfer agreement and they apply for a variance to get around the transfer agreement by having doctors in place of the transfer agreement with the hospital, if they don't approve that variance application within 60 days, it's automatically denied. The clinic is automatically required to close immediately and without any ability for a hearing or anything else. So this one is one of the most egregious. Actually, every lawyer I talked to when it was introduced was like, whoa, that's unconstitutional. So this definitely screams in the face of due process and all these things where, you're not allowed to have a hearing. Something's automatically declined if somebody sits on it. I mean, most of the time when you see something about how, if it sits on a person's desk for, 120 days, it's automatically approved is usually the way those kinds of things happen. If the governor doesn't sign a bill within 10 days, it automatically becomes law without a signature. So the fact that this is it sits on a person's desk for 60 days and it's automatically declined is opposite of how these things usually work.
And so this lawsuit is attempting to stop the Kasich administration from making Cincinnati become the greatest metropolitan area, the largest metropolitan area in the country without an abortion provider.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a pretty
no pressure
goal, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and these are the last two clinics in each Dayton and Cincinnati. So you're looking at the fact that if we lost both of these clinics, there would be nothing in Southwest Ohio at all, which is a big deal.
I just find it like so highly ironic that the party of the Constitution puts forth all of these things that are so unconstitutional. I mean, doesn't even him putting that in the budget in Ohio is supposed to be the one subject rule, but okay, well, I want to put this in anyway, so I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter that this goes against what our state constitution says. This is what we're going to do anyway.
Or the party of less government regulation. I mean, every single day they're saying we overregulate business. We need to, reduce the number of regulations on businesses.
Yes.
Unless we disagree with what your business does, and then we're going to overregulate you out of business.
Exactly.
So yeah,
exactly. I was like, you shouldn't feed the Facebook trolls, but sometimes I just get in there.
Sometimes you have to.
Sometimes you have to. And there's a new law in Oregon that says you go and get your driver's license, you're going to be automatically registered to vote. And so they just passed that. And so these people, the Republicans are saying that, this is going to cause voter fraud.
How does that cause vote? Then you'd be getting a fraudulent driver's license. I think that would be the bigger issue here.
They check out who you are pretty good when they give you that driver's license.
Yes, exactly. And the whole thing is, you have the option to opt out. They send you a ballot to your house. You don't have to fill out the ballot and send it back if you don't want to. You can just let it stay there and not vote if you don't want to. But this gives you the option to opt out rather than having to go above and beyond and opt in. And so, and the crazy thing about it, they're saying that, this is just a liberal plan they're going to have dead people voting. I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. Government regulating what you can do with your body, that's totally legit. The government signing you up to vote, totally overstepping their bounds. Okay, just so we're on the right. Yeah. Okay.
Makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think I'd be more concerned about the dead person driving, but
Yes.
Right.
Just saying, there are bigger deals there, but yeah,
exactly.
So on other exciting clinic news this week, so the 2 clinics have sued to stay open. Hopefully that goes well. Oh crap, I was jumping ahead, but anyway, I'm just keep going. Dr. Burkhan's opened officially for surgical procedures in Cuyahoga Falls, right outside of Akron. So we are now up to 9 abortion clinics in Ohio.
Nice.
We used to have 16, but we're down to 8. So another one opening is a good thing. He is in Cuyahoga Falls, the Northeast Ohio Women's Center. So that one is up and running, and we're excited to have another, place for women to go for safe legal abortion in Ohio. And of course, the antis have already started screaming and yelling about him and talking about how it's evil and bad that a clinic's opening, but we're going to celebrate that for the women of Northeast Ohio, because part of the lawsuit actually talked about how some of the clinics in Ohio now have a 2-week waiting period, like between when you call and when you can get in to get your procedure. So that's really a big deal to have another provider in Ohio, because we have lost so many. So yeah, but then the abortion report came out this week too.
Right.
Yes.
That was what I was supposed to talk about next. I jumped. So on that note, with the abortion report, what was interesting was that, again, this year, the number went down by about 8.6%. The rate of women having abortions in Ohio decreased to about 20,000, I think it was. But
Right to Life celebrates that.
Yes.
I mean, they're all excited about the abortion, the number of abortions going down.
Yeah. And the number of abortions going down is perfectly fine if it means fewer women are needing abortion care.
Yeah.
Right.
And, if you just read that first number, which based on all of their celebrations, that's what they did, you go, woohoo! But when you really start looking at the numbers and really diving into the report, you see that this isn't about fewer women needing abortion care. So earlier this year, Michigan puts their abortion report out earlier. So we got the numbers out of Michigan earlier this year. In Michigan and another state that I can't remember right now, were the only 2 states in the United States that actually increased in their abortion rates. So Michigan went up by 6%. And a big part of that jump was the doubling of women going to Michigan for abortion care from another state. So it was like 700 and something in 2013, and it was almost 1,400 in 2014. So this really just means that women are leaving Ohio. So Ohio's rate went down, Michigan's rate went up. Women are leaving Ohio and going to Michigan for abortion care.
Yeah.
Because Toledo was one of the cities that lost an abortion facility under the Kasich administration. So Toledo, women have lost access, and right across the border, Michigan's numbers are going up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in the Detroit metro area, which is the closest providers to the Toledo area.
Right.
So, but then when you really dive further into the numbers, you start seeing other trends, like the percentage of women getting an abortion in the first 9 weeks of her pregnancy is going down, and the percentage of women getting it between 9 and 13 weeks or 13 and 18 weeks is going up. So we're seeing that women are delaying access to care because they have to wait because the clinics are booked, or they have to jump through all these extra hoops with the heartbeat tests and the mandatory ultrasounds and all these things now. So what you're seeing with these numbers is not fewer women needing access to abortion care because they have birth control and those kinds of things. We're seeing women having to jump through more hoops and go out of state.
What's the difference for women when it comes, comparing an earlier procedure, 6 to 9 weeks, and a, sort of middle term procedure that 9 to 13? What's the difference for women?
One of the big differences is options and procedures. So when it's early in pregnancy, they can do a medication abortion instead of a surgical abortion. So that goes away the further into pregnancy they get. And Ohio restricts that even more. So it's actually under 7 weeks in Ohio. So even between 7 and 9 weeks, women in Ohio don't have access to that because of our ridiculous laws. The other two things is it becomes a more complicated procedure. So although it's still very, very safe and safer than childbirth, risks go up later in pregnancy, and cost goes up exponentially when you start getting further and further into pregnancy. So, we hear a lot of times about how a woman, calls into a clinic, when they're 8 or 9 weeks pregnant and gets a price quote and, schedules their appointment, something comes up, car repair or something like that. They don't have that money. So they, scrounge that money back up again and call when they're 12 weeks pregnant, and now the price has gone up by $150 or $200, and now they need to find that money.
Right.
So the further into pregnancy, the higher the cost for the woman, and the more potential risks that there could be for the procedure.
Yeah. And as I just it makes me think of Rep. Hagan saying about the heartbeat bill, that women, if they make that decision very early on and they want to do it as soon as possible, but the policies you're putting in place are only making it harder for them to do it early. And also, if you look deeper into that, the states where they have, more access and less restrictions, abortion has gone down. Yeah. I believe Hawaii had the most, the biggest decline, and they have some of the, most access for abortion. So what they're doing is exactly it works in the exact opposite way of what they want. And like I said, they think that it's gone down because they're making it, harder to get, but no, that's not the case at all.
Yeah, I think, Gabe, when you put together the press release, you made a really good point. The fact that they've closed half the clinics in Ohio,
right,
and the percentage of women getting abortion care in Ohio has dropped by 8.6%. If it really was about making it harder to get access to, half of women trying to get abortion shouldn't have an abortion anymore. So, when a woman has made the decision to have an abortion, she's going to figure out a way to do it. Right. It might be further in the pregnancy. Yeah. It might mean going to a different state. It might mean going to an unsafe, uncertified place to get it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that she's not going to get it when it's the right decision for her.
I mean, comparatively to other states, that wasn't a big decline at all, really.
Right. It's pretty average.
Yeah.
Well, but there is the other possibility there, which is not problem free. It's that she would end up giving birth to a child that she's not prepared to raise.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's where people come in and they're like, oh, well, they could just put it up for adoption, and as if this is
people
some sort
who know
of
nothing about the adoption process whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But hey, you should totally do that.
Yeah. I mean, we have over 20,000 women each year that have abortions in the state of Ohio. Yes, there are some families that are looking to adopt. Are there 20,000 families? Can you find 20,000 families that want to adopt every single year? And at the end of that 12 months, find me 20,000 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're putting women in a situation where they're being forced to give birth to a child that, they didn't want to give birth. They didn't want to be pregnant.
Yeah. There's
so many things, and it's just wrong to ask a woman to go through that. Not even to ask her, just to force her to.
Yeah.
Through these measures, by this economic coercion, removing the earlier, less expensive options.
Yeah.
So, so the political, the war on abortion providers is definitely going on in the state of Ohio. It's being recognized at the national level. Hillary Clinton talked about it on the campaign trail.
In Cleveland.
Here in Ohio.
Yes.
And she's got a quote. She said, "Extreme views on women. We expect that from some of the terrorist groups. We expect that from people who don't want to live in the modern world. But it's a little hard to take coming from Republicans who want to be the president of the United States. Yet they espouse out-of-date, out-of-touch policies. They are dead wrong for 21st century America. We are going forward. We are not going back."
First, and then, of course, people jumped on that like, Hillary Clinton calling the Republican candidates terrorists. But first of all, just to go on that, just to start with that premise of exactly what she said, she did not say that they are terrorists for saying that. She just said that that's very similar to what other terrorist groups have said. But at the same time, you know what? I think that is correct. I think that if you go, you stand out in front of people's houses with pictures of them, pictures of aborted fetuses. You send letters telling people you're going to harass them if they, start working at a clinic. You go to college campuses with the big jumbotrons and hold up pictures for all of them to see. You stand out in front of the clinics yelling at women, calling them murderers. You have the little pictures trying to hijack a civil rights movement by saying, Black babies' lives matter, which when we all know you don't give a about Black babies. Like, honestly, You're just using that as a way to make women feel bad about themselves. That's terrorism. That is domestic terrorism.
You're inciting terror.
Yes, exactly. That's the exact definition of it. I mean, if you don't like it, then stop doing it. Yeah. If you don't want to be called that, then don't be it. Right. Don't get mad. Don't, and that's the whole thing now. It's like, we don't, with this whole landscape, not just this issue, the issue of immigration, education, jobs. It's like, if you don't, if what you're thinking doesn't agree with what this person, says, they don't attack, the policy. They're going to say, well, I'm going to attack you for attacking me. We're not actually going to talk about the real issue here, what's going on. I'm just going to say that you're a bad person for trying to point out that my policies are bullshit. Like, I mean, that's the whole point and the whole problem with this whole race right now. It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I agree with her. I think that if you do those things, I mean, you are a terrorist. You're making people feel not safe in their homes and in their neighborhood, and that's not right. And they're doing something that's needed and that's legal. And, you don't agree with it, that's fine. You can have your own opinion. But that doesn't mean that you should go and harass them. And like I said, like we were just speaking about, the policies that you're trying to push are doing the exact opposite of what you want. Yeah. Because they're only making, it doesn't make the decline in abortion any steeper. The women are just going to go somewhere else. So, yeah, I mean, they're going against their own cause. Yeah. It really doesn't make any sense.
Right. And we're seeing this get very personal, and we're seeing it become personal in communities all across our state. In my hometown, in Troy, Ohio, there's a situation right now at the junior high. There's a student that identifies now as male, the transgender student. has a very simple request. He wants to use the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This isn't for anything big and complicated.
Yeah.
It's just got to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Right. And so the school district is, doing the right thing. They're following the law. They're saying, okay, here's a student. They have a right to use the bathroom. They identify as male. There's a men's bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's junior high. It's a boys' bathroom.
Yeah.
Go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And they're getting protested. And there's a guy in Troy, Brian Kemper. He's screamed. I've seen him scream at clergy members praying before.
Mm-hmm.
He shows up at anything and screams at people. And he's standing outside this week, the Troy City Schools, the Board of Education offices, protesting. Mm-hmm. There was a letter, an op-ed actually, in the Troy Daily News today that I think, makes a great point. They're not taking sides.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know that, the kids got to go to the bathroom. So, but just said, can we calm down a minute?
Mm-hmm.
These are children.
Yeah.
This is a basic issue about children.
Yeah.
And if you're protesting somebody's child, how wrong is, what?
And it's the bathroom.
Right.
When I go to a public bathroom, I don't care who else is in the bathroom. I'm going into the stall, do my business, wash your hands, and leave.
Especially junior high boys.
Right.
I'm more offended at people who don't wash their hands than someone who may or may not have a penis or vagina, between their legs. I mean, really, it's not that serious.
It's not a group activity.
No, exactly.
Especially not in the boys' room.
It's like, is he going to the bathroom now, making sure that all the men in there are men? No, it's ridiculous. That's really ridiculous.
Yeah, this whole policing who's going in what bathroom, because I have short hair. I don't generally wear dresses. So there's been many times where I've walked into a women's restroom and get this double take. I don't understand. Like you said, I don't pay attention to who else is in the bathroom. No. The fact that there are people that are so aware of every person walking into the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why we're so obsessed with what bathroom a person is going into. It really doesn't matter.
Not in the least.
I generally don't walk around naked in a public restroom.
No.
Just wandering around. So
leave it for the house.
Yeah, especially in middle. I mean, remember what you were like in middle school? I mean, you were hiding everything about your body in middle school. What the hell is going on here?
Exactly.
I remember, changing for gym class and those kinds of things. And you're like, I'm going to go here in the corner and I'm going to put my clothes on and we're going to, junior high kids are not wandering around the bathroom, parading.
I was that girl, but I'm just a weirdo. I think the naked body is beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I think it's okay. But like you said, a lot of people don't feel comfortable. But at the same time, like we were saying, it doesn't matter who's going into the bathroom.
Well, and the school district has said, hey, if you're not comfortable using the bathroom, in the same facility of all of your classmates, here's a private bathroom. Any student can use this. Non-gender. They're
Which
not.
Seems fine.
Yeah, they're not saying to the one student that's said, "Hey, I'm transgender. You need to use this non-gender bathroom."
Yeah,
they're saying to everybody else.
Exactly.
Which is the right thing to do.
If you've got a problem, you need to remove yourself.
Yeah.
Here's a bathroom that you can use.
Yeah. But the parents are saying what they should do is segregate that one student, and that one student should use that bathroom.
Yeah.
That one student isn't the one with the problem. You're the one with the problem.
Exactly.
So you get to use.
The guy standing outside screaming outside the Board of Education.
You know what they say, Brian Kemper? When you doth protest too much. That's all I'm going to say. Let me look at you with the side eye.
This is the guy who got kicked out of the Dayton Public Libraries. Never come back because of his actions at an event that we did with Planned Parenthood Southwest Ohio earlier this year. So that he brought his kids to. I feel really
bad for his kids, honestly.
Yeah,
I do. That's just, you're teaching them to hate other people.
But he says he's not. All of his little posts about it have been all about how, like, he's telling his students not to treat this person, badly or rudely, and if somebody bullies them, to stand up for them. But at the same time, you're bullying the child outside of the school.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the line about terrorists, they are inciting terror. So,
yes.
so Hillary gets our, that's what she said for the week.
Yes.
So then the walk of shame.
Yes. The walk of shame is going to our friend, Dr. Ben Carson, pediatric neurosurgeon, running for president. Gifted hands, Ben Carson. I know, I'm going to stop.
Gifted mind.
No, but seriously. So apparently, according to Ben Carson, there is no war on women. There may be a war on what's inside of women, but there is no war. Okay. Let's again break that down like we broke down Hillary's statement. How can at the same time there's no war on you, but what's inside of you is you. So just on that basis right there, that statement makes no sense whatsoever. And secondly, there actually is, because we have, again, it's them saying that we're the ones always talking about, reproductive rights or abortion, like, women care about other things, and which is true. Yeah, we do care.
We'd love to talk about those other things.
Those, this whole issue of abortion was supposedly settled, over 40 years ago, but you are the ones who keep making more restrictions, who keep saying that you want to overturn it, who keep saying that it should be illegal with no exceptions whatsoever. However, we're the ones that won't stop talking about it. Yeah. We wish you would stop talking about it and say something different. But at the same time, I feel like, they use that issue. Maybe, yes, they do feel, strongly about it. But at the same time, they use it as a political issue to rile up a certain part of their base to make them think, oh, I'm going to be the one who ends abortion. Like, okay, you guys have had, 40 years and what? 2 presidents, besides, Obama and Clinton, and you haven't, and you did nothing with it. So what makes you think that they're going to do something this time? And at the same time, it's like, just that the fact that he is saying that there is no war on women when all of these things are going on again, it's just really it's like disingenuous, and you really don't know what's going on. And at the same time, attacking Planned Parenthood. A lot of people say things about Margaret Sanger, which we would have to have a whole other show to talk about Margaret Sanger. At the same time, when I think about her, she grew up in a whole different generation and time. So to say that, oh, Margaret Sanger was a racist person, probably every other white person was a racist person at that time. Seriously, that was just the reality of that time. But at the same time, she did go into poor white neighborhoods and poor black neighborhoods and try to help them with birth control and help them, with their reproductive health. And a lot of things that people try to misconstrue and say that, Ben Carson claims that, Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood is trying to control that population. And first, I have to say, I have a problem with him saying that population as if he's not a black man himself, that he's trying to separate. He's not like
those black people.
I'm not like those black people. I'm rich and educated, so I can separate myself now and say that, she was trying to control that population, because probably in his mind, that population needs to be controlled anyway. But anyway, we'll go off from that. And to say that, 80% of Black Americans believe that abortion should be legal. 70% of them believe that there should be a health care provider in their neighborhood to provide abortion. And also, just a little quick fact, talking about Black women getting abortions, also because Black women and poor women have more unintended pregnancies because they have a lack of too consistent birth control. So if you want to talk about how we're going to bring that number down, again, it's not putting restrictions on abortion. It's actually giving women access to birth control. But again, facts.
Why pay attention?
Why pay attention to facts? Well, that's not going to stop us. And I just wanted to read this. I'll end on this quote from Mary Treadwell. who was a civil rights activist and also the ex-wife of Marion Barry. But anyway, we don't fault her for that. I just really love this quote. And if you haven't read this, it's an article in Ebony called Planned Parenthood, What You Must Know About Black Women in Planned Parenthood. It's really, really, really awesome article. It really goes into depth more about a lot of different things. MLK was actually given an award from Planned Parenthood because him and Curtis Scott King believe that reproductive rights.
The Margaret Sanger Award.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Margaret Sanger Award. Thank you. The Margaret Sanger Award, because they believed in this work and that it was a part of the civil rights movement for, Black women to have access to, be able to control our reproductive rights. But anyway, I'll start in with this quote. There's no magic in a home where someone has reproduced 5 or more Black babies and cannot manage economically, educationally, spiritually, nor socially to see that these 5 Black babies grow up to be highly trained Black minds. And I completely agree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what reproductive justice is about.
Yes.
That's what, all of this work is about. And it's just separating women's bodies from reproduction is just, it's something we see over and over again, too.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we saw it with that ridiculous hearing on the heartbeat bill, where they brought the women in to do the ultrasounds. And they brought these women and they called them models. And they didn't really let them introduce themselves. They didn't speak about how excited they were to be pregnant or, there was nothing.
They were props.
They were props. They sat in a chair and they did an ultrasound on them in a hearing room. And during that testimony, somebody was talking about how they were doing an examination of the pregnant uterus. And I'm like, I think that's inside of a woman's body. Like, I'm pretty sure I can't, unzip, pull it out and say, here, why don't you examine this?
Yes.
I think
it's not a car part.
No.
No.
I think a lot more women probably get pregnant if they could, take the uterus out and let it be pregnant for 9 months and then put it back in again. But, it's this separation of women's bodies from reproduction that just makes my stomach churn. And even more so for a population that has been suppressed in our community to say that you are not a real person.
Yeah.
You are this thing that we need to control reproductively. I mean, if anybody's practicing eugenics, then that is kind of the definition of that. So
exactly. Like I said, it's 2 sides of the same coin, because I always try to wrap my head around how can Black women be having too many babies so that we can be welfare queens, but at the same time we're getting too many abortions. I don't understand. I mean, how can we
shouldn't
be
be
both?
having sex?
Oh, that's okay. I should write that down. Because remember, I'm gonna get that message out there. You shouldn't be having sex. No, that's a joke. But really, how can it be both? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I think, we'll wrap up with let's get it on for the week. Back on kind of the terrorism front.
Yeah.
Brian Kemper, actually, again, talk about him again, and his buddies at Created Equal have been harassing the crap out of doctors in Dayton because they operate off of a variance. The Women's Med Center operates off that variance we talked about earlier. And to do that, you've got to name doctors in this variance agreement. So Created Equal has been going after these doctors. We've been doing thank you notes. We've been supporting these doctors in the community. But now what we're doing is pushing the Department of Health to grant the variance. They've met every requirement that they need to follow. And the Department of Health has now sat on it for over a month. They applied at the end of July. So on our website right now, there is a petition that you can sign to tell the Director of Health to grant the variance to Women's Med Center of Dayton so that they can continue to operate and provide safe legal abortion care in the Dayton area. So I encourage everybody to go do that today. What else is going on?
Lots of stuff is going on. Mainly the Hot Times Festival, which I'm really excited about. That's going to be happening next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so September 11th through the 13th. And it's going to be here in Columbus, the Parsons Avenue area. And so there'll be a lot of different bands. I was looking on the schedule. They have probably I don't even know how many bands.
It's a little mini Comfest, really.
Basically, yeah. They have,
which is good because Comfest is too big.
Yeah, exactly.
So spread it out a little bit.
I might actually replace my going to Comfest with going to Hot Times because it seems like a better time nowadays.
Yeah, we'll see. So I guess, will this be your first time going?
Yeah, actually it will.
Okay, it'll be my first time going. So, but it looks like it's going to be good. Like I said, they got a ton of bands playing, food, and we'll have a booth out there. And so we'll be talking to people. So yeah, you should come out. We'll definitely need people to help us staff the booth. You can reach me at volunteer@prochoiceohio.org. And soon we're going to be having a screening of the documentary Vessel. That's going to be at Xavier University. The Xavier University College Democrats are helping us put it on. Cool. That's going to be Wednesday, September 23rd. We'll be having a screening here in October for Obvious Child for Columbus, and we're going to do a screening of Vessel in Dayton on Thursday, September 24th. And also next Tuesday, I'll be in Warren County with the Warren County Women's Club, and also Lauren from Planned Parenthood will be there. It's going to be like a happy hour, and then we're going to talk about, all the craziness that's happened in Ohio. And stay tuned. We'll have our events up on the website soon. But in the meantime, you can contact us, like I said, at volunteer@prochoiceohio.org.
Cool.
Okay. See everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.